Hey, a very good afternoon to every one of you. Today we have very special guests to this course. We have Professor Taedong Lee. He is from Seoul, and he is going to give us a very interesting topic, a lecture on translocal relations and climate change policy across Asia, but with a specific sharing on the experience of his hometown, Seoul. And that is, of course, a very important and stimulating ideas for Hong Kong, because in contrast, I think Hong Kong is often a very laggard in energy or climate policy, but Seoul has been one of the forerunners in this area. So this sort of local leadership, we talk about stakeholders, government, national government, local government relationship last time in our stakeholders and power lecture. I hope you still get some ideas about that. So this is a perfect timing, and we are very happy to have Taedong with us today. Now, let me briefly introduce Taedong to you. He is the Associate Professor at the Department of Political Science and International Studies in Yonsei University in Seoul. He is also currently the Director of the Environment, Energy and Human Resources Department. And Taedong is indeed a friend of Hong Kong, because he taught in the City University for a couple of years before he moved back to Seoul. So he is familiar with Hong Kong, and we welcome you most warmly to come back and meet Hong Kong students this time. Yeah, and his expertise is in the area of global and subnational environmental politics and policy, NGO politics as well. And he recently published a book on global cities and climate change, which is a very good book. And I hope you take some time to read it. It's on our reading list. Okay, very good. So without further ado, please join me to welcome Taedong to give us this guest lecture. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for kind and nice introduction. So it's really good to come to Hong Kong again to see Hong Kong students. As Stephanie mentioned, I taught at the Asian and International Studies of City University of Hong Kong about 4 years ago. Now I moved back to my alma mater, Yonsei University, to teach environment and energy politics and civic and NGO politics. Okay, let me briefly introduce a bit more about my research agenda. I'm a political scientist. I know there are some geographers and students from physics, right? Yeah. And I'm a political scientist who study international relations. I know geographer also really interested in the global world, and then also I study international relations and also sub-national environmental politics and policies. I'll get to that point a bit later. And also I use many different type of methods. In particular, I'm really interested in network analysis of public policy. I'll show you one example. Have you heard about the network analysis? Spaghetti-looking kind of maps? No? I will show you that as well. So basically, the network analysis try to explain the relations. Okay? And also, I also teach and study about the NGO politics and civil society politics. We have a lot of interesting experiment in South Korea about this regard, civic engagement in policymaking process with a deliberative pool. If you are interested, I can share some of the idea what is going on here. Okay, so three big agendas, but today's I'd like to focus more on translocal relations. These are questions that I'm going to address in this talk. First question is, what is translocal relation? Have you heard about this term? Anyone heard about this term? Translocal relations. Or some nodded. Have you heard about this? No? Yeah. Maybe no, because I kind of made up this jargon or the term. I will explain what it is. Second question, why are cities engaging in global climate issue? But think about cities. City has a boundary. City have their local issues, right? But interestingly, cities are engaging in global issue. Why? That's the question that I try to address. And after participating the global governance, cities are interacting with each other. How and why? How and why cities are interacting with other cities around the world? Okay, that's my second question among the empirical question. And how do translocal activities influence local climate change mitigation policy? Is that what is the impact of this interactions and participation on their own policy, in particular mitigation policy? I will explain one by one. And I'd like to introduce and share one of the one city's energy transition effort, in particular Seoul, with the name of One Less Nuclear Power Plant Policy. So I try to look at the big picture, the concept of translocal relations. As an example of translocal relation, I try to look at the participation of city in global governance, then look at how they interact with each other in the global governance, and just look at one city, how they make policy to achieve energy transition. Okay, that's the outline of my talk. Actually, each one question contains a number of research articles, but I try to introduce and explain as easy as possible. Okay, let's think about the term translocal relations. Have you heard about term? Oh, do you have a pen? International relations. International relations. What it is? I know you are not international relations student, but or political science student. What is the international relations? Any idea? International relations. So inter means between, right? International relations mean relation between nation state around the world. So international relations studies try to look at the relations between states such as China, US, Japan, South Korea, European countries, things like that. Okay? So we have huge body of disciplines, say international relations. But in the international relations studies, many scholars find that, well, states are important actors. However, we have many more important actors, such as who are the important actors in, around the world? Only state? Nation state? Maybe no. They are important, yes. However, there are other important actors. Who are they? Any guess? Any hunch? Give a shot. That's fine. Cities? Yes. I will explain it. Yeah. And who else? Which organizations or which stakeholder are important actors in the world? Only state like China, Japan, South Korea? No. NGOs, yes. NGOs is pretty important. Civil society organization. Yes. What else? Yes, United Nations, such as international institutions. So there's a international relations scholars saying we need to study more about other actors in the world. So we should say a different name, transnational relations. So trans mean beyond, right? Beyond nation state. There are many important actors like UN, international institutions, WTO, IMF, like international institution, and NGO like Greenpeace, Human Rights Watch. There's a number of NGOs, and there are others such as expert group. Peter Haas, one of the political scientists, say, in particular for the energy and the environmental arena, expert is so important. He called it that is an epistemic community. I'm not going to write it down because this is too much. But epistemic community, who are the experts, provide the scientific argument and evidence. It's so important to understand the science of the environment and energy. So it's not just nation state, but we should think about other actors beyond nation states. So there are huge, literatures on transnational relations. However, previously, nation state is important and other actors are important, but not that many scholars look at cities across the state boundaries. So that's the reason why I use the term translocal relations. In the development of international relations field, we see the prefix change from the inter to trans, between to beyond. However, suffix national remain the same, right? However, in the globalized world, city sometimes bypass the state and interact with other cities or other country and or other actors like NGOs and international institution. So we need to change the suffix as well to look at how cities become international actors. Okay, global actors. So that's the term translocal relations. So I define the translocal relation as a multi-level. I will show you why it is multi-level, and multi-agent governance of local authority both within and across nation-state boundaries. Let's see the the graph here. Okay, previously, we just think about the state, right? International relations around the world. And in the transnational relations, we think about international organizations like UN, multinational corporations like Sony, Samsung, Apple, and citizens and NGOs. However, the translocal relations try to add one more layer. That's the reason why I say that is the multi-level governance. Okay, there are levels from citizen to state and international system, but we have another layer, the subnational government, local government in this world. And these subnational governments are interacting with each other. Have you heard about the C40? C40? Have you? Okay. C40 is the network of big 40 cities at the beginning. 40 cities. to tackle climate change together. Hong Kong is one of the members. Beijing, Shanghai, Seoul, Changwon, Yokohama, Tokyo, these are Asian members. And New York, New Orleans, Seattle, Portland, North American members. And Copenhagen, Amsterdam, Rotterdam. And also there are many southern American cities such as Sao Paulo, Rio, and Lima. And also we have some cities from Ethiopia and South Africa. So these cities get together and make a network to tackle climate change together. That's the C40. Okay? Initially there was 40 cities. However, it becomes bigger and bigger because they can learn a lot from other cities in terms of energy policy and climate change policy. So the membership has been expanded to about 90 cities around the world. It's not just that. There are many cities network across and beyond nation-state boundaries. I studied covenant of mayor in Europe. They have about 6,000 cities as a member. 6,000 cities as a member. For American cities, U.S. mayors climate protection program, about 1,000 member cities. So cities are working together with a network. Okay? However, cities are under hierarchy of the state. That means city cannot make treaty with other city. Treaty is international legal agreement between state. However, city cannot make that kind of legally binding treaty with other cities. However, the city can make the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, more kind of not legally binding agreement type of things with other city or other actors. Okay? That's a conceptualization of translocal relations. But it's pretty interesting for me and some scholars, geographers, and political scientists, in particular international relations scholars, why cities are engaging in global affairs like climate change. Because city has their own problem, a lot of problems in their jurisdiction, but they are engaging in global issue, in particular climate change issue. Why? And also they voluntarily set greenhouse gas emission target, and city participate in this translocal climate network, such as C40. Why? Think about it. Cities are under the hierarchy of a state. If state does not have any greenhouse gas emission reduction target, cities do not have any obligation to reduce greenhouse gas emission, right? Because the cities are under the jurisdiction of the state. However, when you look at the US federal government do not have national target, greenhouse gas emission reduction target under the Kyoto Protocol. However, Seattle, one of the US city, set the target and implement many policy to reduce greenhouse gas emission. It's voluntarily. There's no such a pressure or law or legal enforcement from the state, but they voluntarily do that. Isn't it interesting? And not just it, but they also participated these global networks. Cities are not just local entity, they become global actors. Why? So in my article say, I analyze about 300 cities around the world. to address this question. My argument is the degree of cities globalization is one of the driver for the cities membership in the global networks. That means cities that are globalized are likely to participate in this type of global networks. So global city, why global cities? Global cities are the hub of diffusion. What it means, I just came from Seoul to Hong Kong this morning. Okay? So because we have a direct flight. Then I brought some idea of how Seoul metropolitan government achieved energy transition. And Hong Kong government tried to design and implement some of the energy policies. So the city-to-city network, by having this kind of diffusion of idea, okay, diffusion of policies, and lastly for the international socialization, because I already met, the reporters from the media here. Was that Ming Pao and many other, and Apple. It's not the fruit, it's the name of media. I found that. And I'm also, as a Japanese Professor Ma's organization, I'm going to meet probably public officers, right? So we have a chat, then get to know what is going on, in particular the energy policy in Seoul. And sometimes we learn from other cities. So there's a socialization is pretty important. So global city is the center point to share the idea, learn the best practice. So that's the reason why they are likely to participate in this type of global networks. I know that I tried to skip the method part, but I analyzed about 256 cities in 118 countries with a statistical analysis named hierarchical modeling, because cities are nested within countries, so we need to consider both levels. Don't be panicked, just a hierarchical analysis. One of the ways to analyze the data like this, controlling cities and country level variables. The finding is that one of the driving factors for the city's participation in its global network is come from city, not from nation state. Okay, nation state has many different characteristics, but characteristic of nation state is not that important to explain the city's participation. Rather, instead, the city's characteristics are important. What kind of characteristics does it mean by? So global city are pretty important. There's global cityness. How cities are connected through the global grid of people and flight. The direct flight and international conference is pretty important, because that is the place when we learn something and socialize something, right? So global cityness is pretty important driver for cities' participation in global network. So if you are interested, I will give this lecture slide to Professor Ma. If you are interested, you can read that article, which is published in Global Environmental Politics. Okay, so I explained why some cities are participating in the global networks. Even the cities are, if you think about the city, they are dealing with the trash and things like that, right? The water issue and a bit of the power, but cities become a global actors. My next question is that, okay, they are participating in these global networks. How are they interacting with each other? Are they really interacting with each other? We do not know. So I asked questions to city officers, in particular who are participating in the C40. So this is the map of, kind of spider web, but this is one of the descriptive network analysis example. Okay, try to measure, try to show the relations. I know it's a kind of small, but if you read the article, you can see that. But basically, I ask question, what do you learn about the climate change issue? To whom? To which city? To the city officer. For example, Changwon. Changwon is one city in South Korea. Changwon is a member of C40. And Changwon has a kind of flat land, flat urban area. So one of the ways to reduce greenhouse gas emission is to facilitate bicycle riding. But how can we, enhance bicycle riding in the urban area? They don't have any experience. That's the reason why, officers and the people in Changwon city went to Paris, because Paris are really well-developed public bike system. Not the private owned bike, but public bike. If you just take it and you can just grab it and take it, ride and park it, easy. We call it, they call it valid system, valid. So Changwon learned the public bike system from Paris, and we Koreans are really keen on the IT technology, ICT technology, but Paris has the problems of the public bike system. What do you expect? The problems. Some steal bike and just broke it. That's a lot of cost to manage it, right? So Changwon saw that what happened in Paris in terms of public bike system. Then, okay, we are going to install a GPS system in every bike. So they track where it is, who borrowed it, who stole it, and who broke it. So, Changwon can deal with the problems because they can learn the success and failure of Paris valid system. So basically, this map is about learning. You learn something, the city also can learn something. Because if city government haven't done any experiment yet, they search for how other cities are doing, have done it, right? Then they could make progress and also reduce the mistakes, right? So this graph is the policy learning graph, social network. But interesting thing is that, I know it's pretty small, but this part, the green cities are North American cities, like Houston, Toronto, Austin, New York, Seattle, Portland, Salt Lake City here, LA. And there's some central player like Seattle and New York. That means many cities learn best practice from New York, Seattle, and Portland. This blue here is a European city like London, Paris here, Warsaw here, Rome, things like that. The Amsterdam here. So you can see the kind of pattern. What about the Asian cities? Unfortunately, Asian cities are located in the periphery. That means they are not the central actors in learning, such as Changwon, Seoul here, at that time, and Tokyo here, Changwon here, Sydney here. I think the Hong Kong didn't answer my question. At that time, probably Hong Kong government may think about the climate change policy. And they are at the peripheries, and also those countries in South America, like Sao Paulo and Curitiba. Shanghai is here. right? The Asian cities. So we call it as a homophily first. The descriptive social network shows that the homophily. Have you heard about the term homophily? Homo means similar, phily means love. Similarity breeds ties. So geographical proximity and similarity breed ties. Language is pretty important as well. So that's the one thing. Right? So it shows that the interaction in the networks remain the black box. So that's the reason why I ask questions about the learning. I also ask questions about the collaboration and the socialization. I published it each one anyway. So I utilize the random exponential random graph model. I'm not going to explain what it is, but anyway, this is not just to describe the network, but also try to use the network analysis as regression analysis. It's a bit complicated, but findings that, multi-stakeholder governing body facilitate learning type. That means if a city has some kind of energy agency or climate change energy agency, they are likely to learn more. Okay? And climate change committee, if a city has some kind of committee, like a governance, not just government, but the committee include NGOs, experts, citizens, and the government matter in learning. And those who have done good job in terms of climate mitigation policy, they are likely to do better. There's a way to measure the climate mitigation performance, in particular for city level. Do you know what the climate mitigation policy is? Climate mitigation policy is that how to reduce greenhouse gas emission. Adaptation is a bit different. The climate change is taking place. How we adopt this risk and vulnerability. That's adaptation. Mitigation is how to reduce greenhouse gas emission. So if cities are doing better in terms of mitigation, they are likely to get learned by others. And similar culture, like language and geographic proximity, breed the learning relations. But however, we don't see that much of learning tie among Asian cities or among African or South American cities. So if you look at I have further explanation and publication, but if you want to look at how I wrote about who runs and who teaches, in particular for the translocal relations of climate change, can be read in the policy science. Okay. Oh, here we go. Then, first question is about what is the translocal relations, right? And second question is why cities are engaging in global network. Third, how are they interact with each other in the global network? My kind of fourth question is that what is the impact? What is the impact of the participation? Are really kind of advanced the climate mitigation policy or not? That's my question. So does formal membership in transnational environment networks contribute to achieving the network goals? What is the network goals? Network try to tackle climate change, mitigation and adaptation together. Argument, membership is pretty important to motivating city level mitigation policy. Why? Because if you are a member of C40 or covenant of mayor, you need to expose what you have done in terms of climate and energy policy. So that means not just your citizens, but many other cities and many other citizens around the world can look at what you are doing. So kind of demonstrating open, visible commitment to the constituencies and a network of like-minded actors whose attempt to adopt and implement policy. If you go to the conference of city on this issue, so interesting. They really keen on learning. They really want to have collaboration. because they want to make city better. So like-minded actors are pretty important to, achieve the performance. So how I measure the mitigation, climate mitigation. In order to reduce greenhouse gas emission, there are steps. First step is to establishing greenhouse gas emission inventory. That means we should know where and how much we generate greenhouse gas. For example, from the transportation section, about 40% of greenhouse gas emission come from, 30% from building. It depends on the city, right? So first thing, if you don't measure, you cannot manage it. First, you should measure first. Inventory takes a lot of effort. So the first one should be the inventory, making inventory, greenhouse gas emission inventory. The second step is to setting a target. Okay, how much we should reduce. Okay, for example, Kyoto Protocol, the 5% reduction by 2012 at the level of 1990. 5% reduction on average. Okay, that's a target. The developing climate action plan. So okay, we establish targets. So how can we do that? In the transportation section, the building sections, and industry sections, commercial sections, things like that, right? So that is the developing climate action plan. Then, if you have a plan, you should implement it and monitor and disclose your performance. These are 5 milestones, 5 steps for the mitigation. Okay? So I analyze the cities. In this case, 60 cities, but other case I analyze about 300 cities. City level action is pretty important to explain the outcome. And also CCP is the Cities for Climate Protection membership. Cities for Climate Protection membership is a pretty important driver for the advance this mitigation policy. For example, some city achieve all. As I mentioned before, Seattle set the reduction target, the inventory reduction target plan, and monitor. They did it twice. And they achieve it, then they strengthen their target. Things like that. But some other cities do not have any inventory at all. Some do have an inventory and target, but do not have a plan. So each city has different performance. So I measure it, and which factor influence this variation in terms of the mitigation process. So if you want to look at it, I also provide the list of my publications, so you can look at it too. Okay, so I know one question contains more than several articles, sometimes one article, so is that kind of too much? But I'd like to share a story about Seoul. So, okay, cities are engaging in global networks, and they are interacting, but there's a pattern. Okay, their interaction and participation advance their mitigation policy. Okay, that's what I have done so far. But you probably want to know that, okay, what is going on in a specific city? So I did some case study about Seoul. Have anyone who have been to Seoul? No? Yeah, it's good to go. Relatively safe. You don't need to worry that much about North Korea, I think. And Seoul is a pretty big city. Population of Seoul is about 10,000. 10 million. What is the population of Hong Kong? 7 million, right? A bit more than 7 million. We have 10 million population. what about the population of South Korea? A bit less than 5 million, which means 1/5 of people live in Seoul. It's a small area, but it's really dense. So it looks like Hong Kong, tall buildings, things like that. And we consume a lot of energy because we have population, huge population, 10%. 10% of total energy of South Korea. But it's relatively less. Why? Any hunch? Because we have 1/5 of population. So that means we may consume 1/5 of energy. But it's not the case. Why? Any guess? Actually, no industry. We don't have industry. The heavy industry. Heavy industry located in the, the coastal area. So we don't consume that much. In Seoul, doesn't consume that much energy. However, Seoul produce only 3% of energy that we use. What does it mean? 97% of energy come from outside. Seoul heavily rely on the energy for other part of country. So to reverse this trend, so why does it matter? Because those who live near from nuclear power plant or coal power plant, they suffer from the risk. And these power plants are located far away from Seoul. So they need a high voltage transmission tower. 750 kilovolt, huge. And if you just bring the light like this without the connection, you can have a light. If you under this tall and high voltage transmission tower from Ul진, Gori, and Yeonggwang, this is the place the nuclear power plant located, to Seoul. So to reverse this trend, Seoul has a pretty interesting experiment since 2012. It's called One Less Nuclear Power Plant Policy. One less nuclear power plant policy. One nuclear power plant provide about 2 million ton of oil, TOE. So we have about 25 nuclear power plant, and we are constructing 2 more and plan 4 more. Where we supposed to construct it? Right? Who gonna suffer from the risk? So if Seoul reduce the energy consumption, you do not construct more. Right? So that's the reason why the name of the policy is One Less Nuclear Policy. So energy transition is to we can define it purposive intervention for the energy transition from nuclear and fossil fuel energy based system to renewable and energy demand management. So as I mentioned before, there are several backgrounds. We also experienced Fukushima accident. We should do something. We are really close to Japan, And also the transmission tower setting problems. This is Seoul, and these are the location of nuclear power plant. It's really far, so it need to have this tall transmission tower, and those who live under the transmission tower could suffer from the electricity wave. So, One Less Nuclear Power Plant policy has a vision to be a climate and environment capital of the world, ambitious one, and also specific target. We're gonna reduce 2 million TOE, which is equivalent to the energy provision from the one nuclear power. Oh, so 6:20 is the end of class. I spent too much time. Oh, okay. Okay. Then we have a pretty good governance system. Not the just mayor decide everything, or the NGO decide everything. It's kind of mixed top-down and bottom-up governance system to incorporate variety of saying from the many stakeholders. And leadership is pretty important too, because of the name of the one less nuclear power plant policy come from mayor. So what are the policy content? Basically four things. They try to local renewable energy supply, increase the local renewable energy supply like solar panel, small hydropower, and also efficiency. Energy efficiency is important, right? Then energy demand management is pretty important too. And also we need to have a kind of scheme to evaluate monitoring the performance. So within 2 years, I know it's a kind of lot of content, but there's many interesting experiments took place to achieve the target. So by 2014, we reduced 2 million TOE. So we do not need, theoretically, we do not need to construct one more power plant, nuclear power plant, to provide electricity to Seoul. So these policies try to respond to the local issue, local energy transition, and national issue, not just their own jurisdiction, but also the place that has nuclear power plant and transmission towers, and also global climate change as well. And it's local energy policy. We thought that the energy policy belonged to nation state, but however, this is kind of first experiment of local government can initiate and lead an energy policy in Korea. Okay, so we'll look at it how this idea can scale up to the nation state. Nation state, the South Korean government, the national government also take this direction. Energy transition is a key term. And also maybe other cities around the world. That's the reason why I wrote my article in English to spread the idea. We call it diffusion. Okay, these are the publication that if you are interested in translocal relation, in particular cities and cities, climate change and energy issue, you can look at this research. Okay. Sorry, but do you have any questions on this? Questions? Comment? Which one?
A list of many good things that Seoul has done.
No, this one.
The second one.
Oh, yeah.
Buildings and with solar panels.
Yeah.
In Hong Kong we do have a lot of public
Right.
housing buildings.
Right.
But they similar things.
Definitely. Yeah.
So what happened there?
Because Seoul do not have area, huge area. Hong Kong does not have an area, but we have public buildings. You have public buildings. So it's really difficult to install something in private buildings. But in the public buildings, you have a room to do that, right? If you have a really good, policy scheme and the safety measures, if you install the solar panels in the public building, that works pretty well. Yeah.
So the winter, they can benefit because the wind
Yeah.
is reduced.
Right. That's a pretty good one. Yeah. Yep.
So actually it was the government
Who did it?
who
Yes.
did it.
Any other questions? Comment?
So since you kind of picturing Seoul and Hong Kong, you
Mhm.
know quite well about Hong Kong. So
Okay. Not current.
some observations on Hong
Actually, I haven't followed that much about the Hong Kong energy policy and climate change policy currently, but the reason why I come here to share my idea is to how Hong Kong government has a vision. Why we should do the energy transition. What does it mean? Why we install renewable energy? Why? Do you agree with that? Are we supposed to install more renewable energy in Hong Kong? We do not know that. So, as a political scientist, it's pretty important to have a consensus or shared vision. Not just mayor, the president or the leadership, but also citizens and other stakeholders. Then, okay, this is the way to go. Then you can have many ideas to achieve that goal. The goal should be specific. The vision can be ambitious. The goal should be specific, like one less nuclear power plant, 2 million TOE, specific. This variety of measures not just come from the city government, but from many stakeholders, NGOs, experts, how we achieve the target. Yes. Then strong support, financial, resource, human resource, and institutional support. That is the kind of key. Yeah. I do not know how Hong Kong government deal with the climate change and energy transition issue, but however, if they make a kind of the shared vision and specific goal and governance, good governance and implementation scheme with a terrific idea, and you learn something from other cities, but not all experiment of other city working here because you have a different context. However, then you can assess it, then implement it, then you can make something better.